Hello, hello, hello. Happy New Year. I am, just sitting here sipping a little hot tea with lemon. I don't know if anybody else loves hot tea with lemon the way that I do. And I am sipping it out of one of my favorite mugs, guys. I don't know if you can really see it, but it says lifted hands and a grateful heart. And that is how I am walking into 2022. Listen, after everything that has been going on in life, I mean, everything that has been going on in life, universally as well as, personally, I am just glad to be here, right? I am just glad to have my health, to have my right mind, to have my family and my friends around me. Like, I am just walking in with lifted hands and a grateful heart. That is how I am starting out the new year. Okay, that is the attitude that I am, coming into 2022 with, guys. So, anywho, this is episode 6 of Faith Chats, guys. Episode 6, can you believe it? I wasn't actually sure whether or not I was going to continue doing Faith Chats for this year. Um, but I took some time to think on it and to pray on it. And I have decided that I am going to continue doing it. I think it's good to have these chats, to sit down with other believers and to talk about our faith. So I'm going to continue doing it. The format of it may look a little different going forward though. It's still going to, I'm still going to have new episodes every other Monday. However, for the first episode of each month, it's going to be me doing a little solo chatting, like what I'm doing here right now. And then for the second episode, I am going to have some more amazing guests to come and join me in the chat so that, you can hear other perspectives as well. So, um, also, guys, if you didn't get a chance to check out the last episode, please do. It was so good. We talked about enjoying our salvation, and it just so happened to be, right around Christmas time. And so it was just like so perfect because, of course, Jesus is the reason for the season. And so I had a chance to sit down with a couple of my guests, and we talked about enjoying our salvation, which is what we should be doing, right? We shouldn't just be enduring it, but we should be enjoying being saved. So go ahead and check that out if you haven't had a chance to. Today, however, what I wanted to talk about is being submitted. That is something that I talk about in my book, Building Relationship is About More Than Going to Church, which is what this Faith Chat series is actually based off of. So, excuse me. I'm sorry that I just slurped like that. I did not mean to do that. I slurped in my in private, but I did not mean to do that in public or on video. So that is something I talk about in my book, the importance of being submitted in order to be in relationship with God, because our will and God's will cannot coexist, right? The Bible tells us, or scripture tells us, that we are to take up our cross and follow him. And when we do that, we are becoming mission based, right? We are here to do the will of our Father. And so we can't still, want to have this tug of war with God. No, we are to do what, our Father is telling us to do. And you know, but that tug of war, that struggle, that just wanting to do what we want to do has just been that's been like the biggest problem that mankind has had. I mean, even from, the Garden of Eden, like that was the problem, right? Their disobedience. And through their disobedience, sin entered into the world, right? That has just been And it's just been our like biggest problem, obeying God, right? Ever since, we were created. We've just been some disobedient people. That is why I believe it was in the book of Jeremiah. God was like, listen, just obey me, right? Just listen to me. You will be my people and I will be your God. Like, just obey me. Do what I tell you to do that it may go well with you, right? Like, God has just been pleading with us to just, listen, submit our will to His and do what He is calling us to do. I don't know why we have a problem doing that. I don't know why we think that we know better than God. Why do we think that? Why do we think that even though in our humanness we have this limited view, that we somehow know better than God, who is, all powerful, all knowing, you know, all seeing? Like, why do we think that we know better than what God knows? You know? And whenever it is that we try to go off for our own judgment, and tell God, no, this looks fine. Like, this looks okay. This looks harmless. Like, no, it's fine. It'll be fine, God. We get messed up. I mean, it may look easier, up front, but on the back end, it's going to be harder and a delayed process for us. I mean, can we just look at Jonah? Can we just look at Jonah? I mean, listen, we all know the story of Jonah and the well, right? God told Jonah, go to Nineveh and warn my people. And not Jonah, good Lord, Jonah, excuse me, guys. And Jonah was like, no, that's not what I feel like doing today. I don't know. That's not what I feel like doing. See, these people are wicked and they need to pay for their sins. And if I go over there and warn them, you're going to have mercy on them. And so, no, I'm not going to go over to Nineveh, right? Instead, Jonah decided he was going to take his little self over and flee to Tarshish. As a sidebar, why do we think that we can like run from God, or we can like outsmart him or outwit him, or like, you'll never find me over here, Lord? Like, why do we think that we can do that? Like, if God is telling us to do something, like, we can't like run from him somewhere, like, oh, you'll never find me here, Lord. like no. But he tried to flee, and as we know, a great storm arose, and the fishermen ended up throwing Jonah overboard so that the storm would cease. And Jonah ended up being swallowed by a great fish, believed to be, a whale. And can I just say that, listen, God has a way of shutting situations down, right? He has a way of putting the brakes on our plans, doesn't he? When we feel like, God, I am not going to do what you told me to do, so I'm going to go over here and do what it is I want to do. Like, God will shut that whole situation down, okay? Like, He has a way of showing us who is in control, right? And by the time He shuts it down, we begin to come around and see things His way, don't we all? Right? Jonah began to see things, God's way after he shut down his whole little plan to flee to Tarshish, right? 3 days in the belly of a well will get your mind right, right? It will allow you to reconsider some things, okay? And remind you about who is in control. So, after a few days, the well vomited Jonah onto dry land. Um, and then Jonah ended up going to Nineveh, and he warned the people, and the people, they heeded the warning and they were saved. And so not only is it a problem, for us when we're disobedient, but there are other people that are tied to our obedience and disobedience, right? There were all of these people in Nineveh who was tied to Jonah wanting to not do what the Lord told him to do, right? So it didn't just affect Jonah, his disobedience and not submitting his will unto God, but there were a whole host of people that were tied to Jonah going to Nineveh and doing what the Lord had called him to do. I try not to slurp that time, guys. Right? And so we just have to keep that in mind, when we try to do things our way. Like, we are here to do the will of God. Right? We are here to be the hands and the feet of God. Like, we are here to do his will. And so when we don't do it, we just have to keep in mind that, one, we are in disobedience, and two, that there are people that are tied to our obedience and disobedience. And I understand that, sometimes we don't want to do what God is telling us to do. We don't feel like it. Like I said, we don't feel like it, right? We don't always feel like doing what God is telling us to do. We may not like how it feels. It may be just, too much work. It may be too much, I don't know, of a hassle. It may just not be what we feel like doing in that season, right? I get that. I understand that. But what we always have to go back to is Jesus. When he was in the Garden of Gethsemane, right? He was like, God, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. And he prayed that not once, not twice, but he prayed that 3 times, guys. But ultimately, what did Jesus say? He said, but nevertheless, Lord, let your will be done, right? Because Jesus was here to do the will of our Father, right? And so, nevertheless, right, that is the attitude that we must have. Like, God, I don't necessarily want to do what you are calling me to do. I don't necessarily, like how it feels. Like, God, I'm a little nervous about this thing. God, I don't really know. I don't know that I want to do it. I'm a little nervous, I'm a little scared, it's a lot, Lord. I don't know that that's what I want to do. I don't know that I want to leave my job right now, God. There's security where I'm at. God, I don't know if I want to, step out and do all of this stuff. People are going to be looking at me. People are going to be, like judging my every move. God, I don't know if that's what I want to do right now. God, I'm comfortable where I'm at. But nevertheless, nevertheless, let your will be done, God, because I am here for you to get the glory from my life, God. I am here to do your will, not what I feel like doing, not what I want to do, not what I think is best for me, but God, what you have put me on this earth to do, God. Right? I am here to bring you glory. I am here to do what you created me to do, God. And so, um, I don't know about you, but I am really making sure that I am submitting my will to God. I am making sure that I am stopping and I am praying on things, and I am making sure that I am not making moves based out of emotion, that I am not making moves based out of just impulse, or, what looks good or feels good to me. Like, I don't want to waste time. I don't want my process to be delayed. Like, I don't want to go around and around in circles. Like, God, I want your will for my life. I want your will, God. You know why you have me on this earth, God. So I'm going to submit unto you, God, so that you can get the glory from my life, God. And I pray that that will be your mindset as well as we get into this new year. Like, God, what is it that you have for me to do? What is it that you put me on this earth to do, God? Never mind how I feel about it. Because keep in mind, it's not just about you, right? It is about other people who are assigned to you, who are attached to you, right? So we got to get out of our feelings and out of our emotions, right? And listen, what did God say? Just obey me, right? That it may go well with you. Like, I want it to go well with me, okay? Like, I wanted things to go well in my life, okay? So I am going to be submitted unto God.